Another week, guys. This is such a weird one. I was just gathering up my perfumes, and I feel like although this week felt like it kind of went on forever because I had a few different projects that I was working on really intensely at the same time, um, it also feels weird that I was pulling out something that I wore on Saturday because that feels like a million years ago now, like last week. Um, last weekend, I should say. I don't know. Oh, maybe it's because I'm filming this on Sunday and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm nearly finished with my free time already. Um, so weather-wise, it was kind of all over the place again. It's had, well, no, that's not really true. It's really quite mild. So it's been, chucking on a cardigan to wear to work and then having to stuff it in my bag when I'm on my way home, else I'll boil to death. So perfume wise, it's been odd because I definitely in the morning I crave something a bit sweeter. When I'm at home, I crave something a bit kind of sweeter and cozier, but it's not exactly cold yet. But I had last week on Monday when I was working from home, it was actually quite a hot day. Um, so I just craving this because I really like this perfume. This is Britney Spears Fantasy Sheer in this absolutely beautiful bottle. I really, really like this one. I think this is one of the prettiest in the collection. I actually really like the Blissful Fantasy one as well. That one's really cute, but there's something I quite appreciate about the ones that are just all like one plain colour. That's why I love the colour of Midnight Fantasy. I wish I could wear that perfume, man, because I love that bottle. It's so gorgeous. Anyway, this is such a weird perfume because like there is something about it that when I wear it, I'm like, I can tell that this isn't an expensive perfume. It's not me being like, oh, it smells cheap, but it has a vibe of a more affordable perfume, and it does kind of have a vibe of a celebrity perfume. And there is that plasticky cupcake note in here, which I think is quite obvious when you strip out the intense sweetness from the original Fantasy. This one definitely retains some of the original Fantasy DNA, which is why when I first got it, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'll be able to wear this because I don't really love the original Fantasy DNA. But there is something so addictive about this perfume. Can I just say as well, it's really interesting because in America people say addicting, and I didn't even think that was a word. I probably is, but I don't think we say that in the UK. We just say addictive rather than addicting. It's sometimes it's so fascinating watching American YouTubers and British YouTubers, and like the way we use language in quite a different way is always really interesting to me. Kind of obsessed with like language. I'm a bit of a kind of Stephen Fry loving, love to listen to the pronunciations of things, even though, as you know, when I try to say things in a different language, I will make an absolute pig's ear out of it. But anyway, back to Sheer. Sheer Fantasy is citrus water, lychee and quince in the top, mid notes of water lily and lily of the valley, base notes of cupcake, iris, white musk and woodsy notes. So I would say that this one, you get a real acidity in the top of this, and because there's the sweetness in the base, there is almost a slightly almost vinegary balsamic feel at first, but in a very fresh and aquatic watery way, which I really, really like. And that I'd say it's the citrus, the lemoniness that stays with me. You do get a bit of iris, you do get a bit of the kind of more of maybe the water lily feel here, I'd say, but you really get that cupcake in the base, and it's not like it's slightly vanillic, but it's just this lovely sweetness in the dry down. So, and it's not a boisterous perfume. It's not like really, really strong. It's just so kind of cute. It's really nice to wear. And this is one where I know how much I like this because I was working from home and I put it on in the morning and I resprayed it and then I carried on wearing it in the evening and I never changed to a different perfume. You know what I mean? So like normally when I'm home, I'm tempted to have something different on in the morning and then maybe I'll change it or maybe I'll do some testing. But no, this was like put it on, loved it. When it started to wear off, could have put something else on, but was like, no, I just really like this perfume. So I think maybe this is my second favourite. I think my favourite is the Jungle Fantasy. Although I really like Blissful Fantasy as well. We'll see how I get on with the Pure Fantasy Elixir this when it gets a bit colder and I want to start wearing even sweeter, creamier perfumes. But yeah, I think this is absolutely lovely, so I highly recommend it. It definitely does have a plasticky cupcake in the base, but I love that plasticky cupcake. I think it's so delicious. All right. Then we have... I needed something cozy, but it wasn't going to be massively cold, you know, it's still going to be mild. So I thought I'm going to go for a Mon Guerlain. I'm going to wear the most kind of citrusy cozy one, which is the EDT, which I'm just sniffing now rather than showing you. Hang on, let me put it on the thing. So this is the EDT. I did not get through all of this myself. This is because I bought a partial bottle, but it was maybe just a little bit under half full when I first bought that. So I have got through a little bit, but it is only a 30ml. The Eau de Toilette this is really nice. I do really like this one, don't get me wrong. It's not my favourite from this collection, because it doesn't have the creamy tonkery sweetness that you get in the original. This has a caramel in it instead, and I think it's quite obvious that it's caramel. And so therefore this is one that doesn't smell quite as kind of interesting to me, even though it is delicious. So I loved wearing it. I love Mon Guerlain. The only one that I don't like, that I actually got rid of because I don't like it, is the, what's it called, Bloom of Rose Eau de Parfum, because I didn't think that one smelled anything like Mon Guerlain. I just think it smelled like a kind of slightly rosy, sharp perfume with loads of patchouli in it. Like, it just wasn't really for me. Although saying that, like, I'd kind of wish that I'd kept a little sample from that bottle so that I could re-smell it and see how I feel. But rose isn't my favourite, so anyway. Damn, guys, I've been on so many tangents already. Okay, back to it. So the EDT has lavender, mandarin orange and bergamot in it. Middle notes of jasmine, sambac, orange blossom and ylang ylang. Base notes Tahitian vanilla, caramel, orris, benzoin and violet. It does still have that essential violet sweet yumminess from the original. Violet? What am I talking about? Not violet. Lavender. But this one is very citrusy, almost fizzy in the way this smells, because I think of the citrus mixed with the violet. It has this kind of slightly effervescent, fizzy citrus feel, which is really lovely. You definitely get the lavender. And then you get, in the dry down, a real beautiful sweetness from the caramel, and it is very, very pretty. I really, really enjoyed wearing this. It's not one I'd ever want to declutter. But I think also it would be interesting, like when I finish this bottle, I don't know whether I would feel the need to replace this, because I feel like I could probably wear some of my other caramelly honey things. The first thing that springs to mind that I would wear rather than this one is Illicit from Jimmy Choo. That kind of thing, one that has that yummy caramel in the base, but it also is kind of tangy. I'm just going to have a look and see, because I feel like this also reminds me... Interesting. Someone's also said, oh yes, of course, and Terre de Lumiere from L'Occitane. That's not caramel, that's honey, but it does actually, because it's lavender and honey, it's not a million miles away from how this smells. So they do... Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Yeah. Not exactly the same, but definitely I think Terre de Lumiere is more similar to the EDT of Mon Guerlain than the original Mon Guerlain. It has a kind of a sweeter and more caramelized kind of sweetness because of the honey in that one than it does like a creaminess that the original Mon Guerlain has. So I can totally see actually that it has some crossovers. And I guess maybe Angham, it has a little bit of a crossover. But yeah, anyway, very delicious. So then I was testing this against a dupe of Libre, which I'll talk about in a different video because I got a really cute dupe. I need to do a haul video. But I was just testing this against because I'm always really interested in how these kind of lemon vanilla perfumes come across, or like bitter orange in this case. They always do tend to smell like lemon cakes, But anyway, so this is my dupe. This is a dupe of Lolita Lempicka Elder Lolita, which is this guy in this beautiful bottle. I have deliberately not tried to get hold of a bottle of this, like an original bottle, because I feel like my favourite citrusy vanilla is always going to be and fragrances far. Like, I'm just obsessed with that. I love that perfume. It's so delicious. And it retains the acidity and sourness of a citrus in a way that a lot of these others kind of calm down and don't keep that tanginess, and then they can be a bit sickly. So I didn't really feel like I need to invest in a bottle of Elder Lolita because they are so expensive, and therefore I wanted to try the Perfume Parlour one. So this is, I think it's called, yeah, Bordeaux 2. So this is Elder. I mean, this has even got darker since I've had it. It's got this fantastic kind of colour to it. This is, it's very similar to Lyra, but it is much more interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong, Lyra and all the dupes I've smelt of Lyra is gorgeous, and I love that it has like licorice and spices in that, so it is lovely. But it is, again, it can be slightly flat because there aren't, I mean, it's a lot of gourmand notes in that. Um, this one kind of veers off into its own little direction because it has like sea notes and weird notes in here. So let me just read the notes. So, well, what it says on Fragrantica is bitter orange and bergamot, mid notes of cinnamon, immortelle and musk, base notes vanilla, tonka bean and sandalwood. But I am very much getting something that smells kind of like seawater in here as well. There's a slight saltiness. The immortelle is a strange scent, and I think that's what makes this one much more interesting. It also has something in it. It says sandalwood, but to me, maybe that's where the saltiness comes in. It smells kind of like driftwood or something in the base of this. So if you can imagine Lyra, but like Lyra with a seaside feel, that's kind of what I get from this, and I think it's really nice. I really liked wearing it. It's a lovely perfume. I'm really glad to have this one. I don't feel like I need to try and find the real thing because this is quite strong. The Perfume Parlour dupes that I've tried are generally quite strong and quite good. So yeah, I think this is lovely. If you like the idea of Lyra, but maybe slightly less sickly, and maybe not quite as gourmand. So it's incredibly close in terms of how they smell, but this is not quite as gourmand. So it maybe is slightly easier to wear depending on your tastes. But love it. Yeah, that's a really good one. So that's Bordeaux by Elder Lolita, Elder Lolita by Perfume Parlour. But I mean, if you just put in Elder Lolita or if you search for Lolita Lempicka on Perfume Parlour, you'll find it. I'm going to go in a different order today because a couple of these are kind of linked. So I'm trying to make my mind up about this one. I wore Super Fairy, so I did get Super Fairy. I went back to Lush to buy it because I kept thinking about it, and I was like, it would be quite nice to have a Super Fairy but with a bit of a more robust creamy base, which you get from that Super Milk part of this perfume. I'm torn though. I'm not sure whether I like this more than just wearing Super Fairy. Sorry, by wearing Snow Fairy is what I'm trying to say. And I think that's because I was enjoying it. Definitely in the top of this, you get mainly when you first spray it, I get a lot of the Super Milk notes. You can still smell Snow Fairy in there, but when I first spray it, you're getting the sharpness, you're getting the citruses, and I've said before, there's something about some of the citruses that Lush use that I find so piercing, and I do get a bit of that with this, but less so than the actual Super Milk, and it doesn't last as long. In Super Milk, that kind of bitter sharpness lasts on me forever. Same with Chelsea Morning. But this one kind of calms down, turns into Snow Fairy, but then Snow Fairy with this almost caramelly vanilla base. The thing is though that the more this dried down, the more I started getting that bath bomby texture that I really don't like in a lot of the Lush perfumes. I really like the powderiness in American Cream, and I love that that one has this kind of strange texture to it, but this is more like a literal bath bomb, like what I got in Barbie, what I get in 29 High Street, and there's been a few others that have come out that I just get this kind of actual bath bomb feel, and I don't like that texture in a perfume. It makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. So I might have to give this one more go before I decide what to do with it. But to be honest, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it, but I'm like, well, I already have Snow Fairy, and I already have American Cream if I want to wear like a creamy perfume that smells like Lush. So maybe I didn't need this one. I got overexcited. I don't know. I just kept thinking about it. But yeah, I'm not loving it, to be honest. I think if Snow Fairy is just a little bit too pink, foam shrimp kind of sweet smelling for you, and a little bit too fruity for you, then you might prefer this one. I mean, actually, this might be more fruity, but it's citrus. So it's kind of different than the pear and cherry sweetness that you get from, and the bubblegumminess that you get from Snow Fairy. I wonder how many times I've got this name wrong. Um, so anyway, the notes, this is on Fragrantica, so it's not really to be trusted, but the notes on is citrus, lemon and lime, mid notes cotton candy, base notes vanilla and musk. But there's definitely florals. There's all kinds of stuff going on in this. It's not quite as bubblegummy maybe, but it's still got Snow Fairy in there for sure. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this one. We'll see. Then let's see, what did I wear? Let's go for this one. This is what I wore when I went out with my friend for dinner. Oh, it's so beautiful. And it's just this little guy. So from the front, looks like a little Lolita Lempicka. From the side, ooh, what's that? That's not a regular Lolita Lempicka. Gorgeous. So this is called La Tentation de Lolita Lempicka. And it is, I mean, to be honest with you, now that I have so many Lolita Lempickas and I've got quite a few vintage, the biggest difference that I can smell with them is that they have, compared to the new Le Parfum, they're kind of a little bit softer in the top. So when you first spray the new version of Le Parfum, it has a kind of, it's maybe a bit more alcoholy and a bit sharper, but then it gets very sweet and it gets very musky, kind of animalic, sexy musk. I love it. I love the current version of Lolita Lempicka Le Parfum. Love it. But all the old ones, the licorice in them smells a little bit like cigarette ash and like cigarette smoky to me. And I've had that in quite a few perfumes that have licorice. I haven't necessarily loved it in other perfumes because it has been too ashy, but it doesn't bother me in the vintage Lolitas because they're just so nicely blended that I don't pick that note out above everything else. It just goes all together and I don't feel like I smell like cigarettes, so I love it. But this one, because this is an old one, this basically smells like the original Lolita Lempicka, but with sharper fruits. So it's like a sharper, tartar version, but it still has the essential DNA. So La Tentation has lemon and pineapple in it. Personally, for me, I just get quite a lot of the lemon. So this is like a slightly fresher, lemony version of the original Lolita Lempicka. Or for me, like Lolita Lempicka Parfum. It gives me the same feeling, but I can wear it in slightly milder weather because it does have that tartness. I'd say that this one sits between the original Lolita Lempicka and the Lolita Lempicka EDT in terms of what the scent is. And it's really cute. It's really nice. I really like it. I loved wearing it. It lasted really well. It's gorgeous. Love it. If you ever see it for a good price, totally worth having. Although I feel like maybe they only did them in tiny bottles because I've never seen a big bottle of this. I think this is like a 20 ml. I wonder if this was just some kind of special thing. There's not much information I can find about it, to be honest, which is a bummer. But yeah, so that absolute gorgeous beauty. So the full set of notes. Top notes: anise, sour cherry, Brazilian rosewood, ivy, pineapple and lemon. Middle notes: licorice, violet, iris, jasmine, orris fruit, lily of the valley and rose. Base notes: praline, tonka bean, vanilla, almond, musk, heliotrope and vetiver. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful. I think some people would just think this smelled like the original, but I feel like it does have quite a lot of that lemony note, so it is fresher, but it's very similar. It's beautiful. A couple of people have said it smells a bit like Fétole Intense from Agent Provocateur, and I've always wanted to smell that perfume. I don't know whether you can still get it. I feel like it's probably been discontinued, but I've also heard a lot of people say that it really smells like there's patchouli in it. I wonder if that's the leather, or maybe there's just patchouli in it, but I would quite like to smell that. I'm going to leave that one up and then have a think about it. Okay, then we have this guy, Sweet, another Lolita Lempicka. I've sort of worn 3 Lolitas this week, not deliberately. I just really fancied this one because I am starting to fancy things that are a bit more berry again. Last year, I just wasn't in a berry mood, and for a lot of this earlier on, I was not in a berry mood. I didn't want to wear berry perfumes. I don't entirely know why. I'd just completely gone off them. But I didn't declutter any of my berries because I knew I would come back to them, because that berry perfumes used to be my absolute jam. They were my favourite. So I just fancied it. So I put this on in the morning, and then I just completely changed my mind because it wasn't quite warm enough, I think, for this. This was a little bit too fresh and I was needing something cozy, so I swapped to the next one. So I'll start with this though. Sweet is raspberry leaf, sour cherry, mandarin orange in the top. Middle notes: iris, rose and angelica. Base notes: musk, cashmerian and amberwood. So this one, I get a lot of, it says raspberry leaf, but I get a very juicy raspberry here mixed with that cherry. It smells like kind of sour cherry and raspberry sweeties, like chewy jellies or something. Because of that angelica and iris, it still has that slightly makeup-y feel. It doesn't feel quite as waxy as the original Sweet that has that lip gloss accord in it, but as I said, it always to me smells like lip balm. But this is extremely fruity and fun, but then it has that lovely kind of slightly makeup-y floral smell to it as well. And it's lovely, don't get me wrong. I loved it when I was putting it on in the morning. I was like, I love it. It's so good. And then kind of lunchtime that day, when I would normally be thinking about reapplying, I was like, I'm a bit chilly. Plus, I was in an air-conditioned space, so I was a bit chilly. And I was like, And so I reached instead for my dupe of, let me just find the one that I was actually wearing at work. So Amer by Pascal Morabito is the one that I keep at work, but the one that I have here at home and the one that I topped up with when I came home in the evening, you would have seen this in my video if you watched my Rive, my last Rive, is Rive My Only Wish. I really love Rive My Only Wish, which is a dupe of Cacharel's Yes I Am. I do also believe that the Pascal Morabito is a dupe of Cacharel Yes I Am. It has quite different notes, but it smells exactly like this, like exactly the same. So it's delicious though. They're both so delicious. And again, I didn't really wear these last winter or last autumn because I was not in the mood for this bright raspberry that's in the top of these perfumes. But I loved it. It was so lush. I was obsessed. I am back into it. So this is raspberry, tangerine, lemon and bergamot in the top. Mid notes of orange blossom, ginger flower, gardenia, jasmine, rose and amber in the mid. Base notes: caramel, milk, vanilla, cardamom, coumarin, benzoin, licorice, sandalwood and amber. It's so fruity and juicy and jammy and lush in the top. Lovely, beautiful, tasty, yummy raspberry. And you do get some florals. I don't really know what I would pick out as being the strongest. It just kind of smells like, it's kind of got gourmand, but it still smells like a perfume, I definitely get a gingeriness. I definitely get some cardamom, which gives it a plasticky feel, which I really like. I'm definitely getting the licoricey, benzoiny, spicy yumminess. And then you definitely get a milkiness, and I definitely get caramel. It is absolutely yummy. I really, really enjoyed wearing this. I'm so happy to be wearing it again because I did really keep thinking about it last year, and then every time I smelt it, I was like, oh, I'm not in the mood. But this is like a happy perfume, even though it also is weirdly gothy to me. I don't know why. I think it's sexy. I think it's just a sexy perfume, and I really do like it. So that is My Only Wish by Rive, which is a dupe of Cacharel's Yes I Am. I'm just going to quickly give you the notes for Amer. So Amer is raspberry, ginger flower and tangerine in the top, mid notes of rose, neroli and gardenia, base notes sandalwood, benzoin and dulce de leche. But like I said, to me, it smells just like Cacharel's Yes I Am. That is the top thing that people have voted for. People also say that that Pascal Morabito one smells like Britney Spears' Private Show. Now, that's a perfume that smelled hideous to me. Like, it just smelled like very sweet, caramelly shampoo. Like, I really didn't like that perfume. But it's very possible that there's something in that perfume, some kind of aroma chemical that just doesn't come across as it should to me, because like 8 people have said that it smells like Pascal Morabito, which to me smells like this. So I mean, if that's what people are smelling with Private Show, I will totally understand why they're so obsessed with it, because it's lovely. But yeah, so anyway, next. So the last one I wore this week is this beauty. This is Angham from Lataffa, which is increasingly getting a little bit darker and thicker the longer I have it. Absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, lovely version of Burberry Goddess. I prefer this one myself. I don't know why. I just think... Actually, I do know why. It's because there's something in Burberry Goddess that smells a little bit like that tarry aroma chemical to me. And even though normally every Lataffa I smell has that, this one doesn't seem to have that. So this one just smells a little bit less chemically to me, because I do love the original Goddess. And I had a 30ml, but I decluttered it once I got this because I just prefer this one. I think it's a little bit sweeter than Burberry Goddess, but I mean, I love Burberry Goddess. If it didn't have that tarry feel that is extremely intense in the intense version, that's almost all I can smell in the intense version, then I would, I would have just kept that very happily, but I didn't feel I need it. So one of the reasons I wore this as well is because I can't lie, I keep thinking about that rare eau de parfum, the Selena Gomez one. I keep thinking about it. And I think I keep thinking about it because it is basically this, but with caramel. It's like, it doesn't have the lavender, but it still has pretty much exactly the same profile. But it just has this really nice caramel in it, and I just keep thinking about it. So I was like, stop thinking about that. It smells almost exactly the same as the other one. So I wore this and I was like, nah, this is absolutely gorgeous. Like, do I need to get rare at any point? Maybe if I see it secondhand and I can get it for a steal, I might get it, because I feel like they're just such easy to wear, cozy perfumes. They're so pretty, but they work in warm weather as well as cold. But this is delicious. I mean, I really enjoyed wearing this. The notes they give you for Angham are ginger, mandarin and pink pepper, mid notes of lavender, praline, cacao and jasmine, base notes vanilla, amber and musk. And this definitely smells to me like there's a wood in the base of this. I get a kind of, it's not quite pencil shaving, but I get a obvious kind of slightly woody note when this dries down, so in a way that I didn't ever get that with Burberry Goddess. I didn't really get something that I thought smelled like wood, but it's kind of powdery and cozy, the wood that I get here. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'd be able to work it out really. Yeah, normally pencil shaving-y ones tend to be cedar. This is cozy and delicious. See, I'm smelling it now and I'm like, oh, I'd quite like to wear that again today, because I am a little bit nippy while I'm making this, and it's just cozy. It's such a good one, and it's such a good price as well. Like, this is really good. I think Angham is the nicest Burberry Goddess dupe. Maybe Rare would be second, actually. So maybe just because of that slight tarriness in Goddess. Like, if you can't smell that, Goddess is amazing. Like, I love it. It's so good. I've still got my 10ml pen spray, because when I'm not feeling too sensitive, I would just still love to wear that one. But maybe I would have like Lataffa Angham at the top, especially because it's the best value. And then I'd have Rare, then Burberry Goddess, and then I'd have Athena underneath, because Athena I think is the most chemically to me, and it's the one that is kind of the freshest and therefore kind of diverges the most. But anyway, all very delicious, really nice. So those are the ones I wore, and then I went to smell some perfumes in John Lewis, because I often walk through John Lewis on my way to Oxford Circus. So I smelt this guy, which is one that was being talked about such a long time ago. This is Miu Miu Fleur de Lait. And people were really excited about it, but you couldn't really get it in the UK. I don't know if you could get it in the US, but I think it was really quite hard to come by. There is still a bit of a scent left on here, and the scent left on here is kind of sweet and floral. Because this is not like a true gourmand at all. This is definitely like a floormond. The notes they give you are top notes of mango, mid notes of osmanthus, and base notes of coconut milk. I'm sure there's way more going on in this, but those definitely are the three things that you can smell the most. So when I first smelt it, you definitely get mango. You do get a creaminess. I'd say there's probably vanilla as well, because it doesn't just smell like coconut milk. There's like a sweetness here. But you do get quite a lot of osmanthus. I mean, I'd go as far as to say that actually this is an osmanthus perfume, because it's what remains when everything else has calmed down. There's still a slight creaminess, still a slight sweetness. And this is like, when did I get these? Maybe on Friday night, and I'm doing this Sunday morning. It is pretty. I don't feel like it's something I would need in my collection, but it is pretty. The top comparison is Soki London's Aphrodite, and I did think that one was quite nice, but it again has that tarry aroma chemical in it, so it turned out to be a bit of a disaster for me in the end. The more it dried down, the more of a disaster it was. But I think that one's like mango, coconut. I think that one's a bit fresher and less creamy though than this, but a similar kind of thing. It's also compared to the Solar Mango from Zara, which I did test before. That one is far more mango and fruity and less creamy than this one. So I don't think I haven't necessarily smelled anything that smells exactly the same as this, but it's also not like groundbreaking in any way. It's pretty though, but yeah, it's very, very floral, I would say. Very floral indeed. And then Yves Saint Laurent. Very strangely, the actual Yves Saint Laurent, the actual counter, the like official counter, didn't have the new Libre. But then I was like, oh, for God's sake, they always take so long to get it. So I walked out thinking, oh, it's probably an exclusive somewhere else. And then there was just a little thing at the front, a little display with the new one. And I was like, well, it's so weird you don't have it at the actual counter, though. Like, that's so strange. So this is Libre Vanille Couture. And have I confused my white balance? Probably. It's pretty dark and grey this morning. Unusual, isn't it, for the UK? So I mean, I don't know about this. I smelt it and I was like, really? So it's called Vanille Couture, and you would expect it to be vanilla, and it is vanilla, but it just smells like the original one, but it's kind of sweeter. And weirdly, like, I was getting a fruitiness, but the notes they've given you are bourbon, vanilla, orange blossom, vanilla, caviar. Let's try that again. Vanilla, caviar, lavender, and rum. So I'm wondering if the kind of fruitiness is coming from the rum, whether that's giving me some kind of fruity feel. There might just be a fruit. So it was kind of bright and almost a bit juicy, and it's very strange to me because this is very sort of, well, it's not very sweet, it's sweet, but it doesn't have like the richness that I would expect from vanilla caviar and vanilla bourbon, and from a perfume called Vanilla Couture, because it just kind of smells like the original but with an added sugary sweetness is what I'm getting here. But I'm also getting a real chemically smell. Like, I just think The Libre line just smells chemically to me, and that's kind of gutted because I do think it's pretty. My little Rive dupe of the original, that one I think is the least chemically version I've smelt of Libre, which is why I would say just get Destiny from La Rive if you're interested in the original Libre. I think that Libre Intense is the nicest version I've smelt in terms of the profile, but it has that aroma chemical in. This one, maybe a little bit more of that kind of sweetness, but without the creaminess that you get a little bit more in the... is it called Le Parfum, the one with the honey? Is that the honey one? Also has a really nice profile, but again, they just got this weird chemically feel. And I smelt YSL, is it Myself, the men's kind of thing that came out around the same time? That is pure chemicals. Even my husband was like, ugh. You get a lot of lavender still. You still get orange blossom, but maybe less than in the original. But this, it still has a bit of that soapiness. It's like I said, considering it's got bourbon, vanilla caviar and rum, this is not as quite as rich. It's a little bit sheerer than I was expecting this to be. And I really just think it's a shame it's not creamy. Like, I feel like this is too similar to the original and it's so expensive. And the bottle is nice. I actually, to be honest, I don't like that bottle as much as I like the original. I think that the textured gold is just not as chic. I like that it's see-through on the sides. But I just don't like that bottle as much as the original, and it pretty much smells like a slightly sweeter version of the original. But I think they really missed a trick here, because I think if they'd have had this be a very creamy vanilla with the Libre profile, because obviously there's a bit more creaminess in the intense version, but it's not like creamy vanilla. I think this would have been much better if it was a creamy vanilla. I'm just like, it's just very meh. I don't love this line anyway, so don't take my word for it, but I would say this just isn't that interesting. It's alright. I just don't think it's that interesting. I wonder what other people think, and like if people are buying it. It'll be interesting. So yeah, that was my week, guys. I think, what were my favourites? I mean, I feel like maybe I was the most obsessed with La Tentation and My Only Wish. They're probably the ones I was the most obsessed with. Although I did, though maybe these two. Actually, so many of them. They're just delicious. I think So Sweet I really like, but it was just wrong time of year. Super Fairy, I'm not sure about that one. I'm not sure I need it, to be honest. I just think I probably would just rather wear Super Fairy. But yeah, let me know what you've been wearing. Let me know if you have any of these. Let me know if you've smelt the Miu Miu. I have to say also as well, Miu Miu, let me show you a picture, because I took a little snap. I will have to go back and like actually smell these again. But yeah, they had like a really nice little display that was super pretty. And I smelt all of these perfumes and I didn't dislike any of them, and none of them smelt like poison to me. I was in a store, so I don't know whether that would change if I tried them on my skin. But I will go back to John Lewis at some point while this is still there, and I'll try and actually test some of them. Weirdly, the rose one was the one that I was like, oh, that's so pretty, which is very unusual for me. But anyway, so it might just be that I was in a certain headspace, you know. Why is my phone beeping at me? Honestly. Ugh. I've got this new phone. It's got all this stupid AI stuff on it, and it's always trying to talk to me, and I can't turn it off. Also, let me know if you've smelt the new Libre, and let me know what you think, and if you think it is different enough to the original to be kind of worth buying. You know, tell me what you think, guys. I'm just like so like unimpressed with it. But I have got an attitude problem. It's still got that very bitter orange blossom and like weird chemically. It's, you know what it is? It smells like a Quentin Biche perfume to me. Like this, the Libre range have... Who are they even by? God, I'm going to have to look this up now just in case it is a Quentin Biche. No, Anne Filippo and Carlos Benaim. Okay. So... not Biche, but it has, yeah, there's something about whatever aroma chemicals are in here that have like, oh, that smells a bit like it might be Quentin Biche to me. Yeah, don't love it. So anyway, I'm going to actually stop talking now because again, I've been talking for ages. So thank you so much, guys. I am going to enjoy my Sunday. I did most of my chores yesterday so that I could relax today, which I'm very happy about. And I will be back next week. I can't really remember what I've got coming up that's already lined up, but I've got loads of videos to make, so I just need to find time because I've got loads of cool stuff. But anyway, thanks, guys. I'll see you soon.